Chapter 13 Space Travel. We will explore space, gravitational pull of force, spacewalkers, life on the moon, man on the moon, Indian astronauts. All heavenly bodies, like the sun, the moon, the planets, and the star, lie in space. Space, the earth surrounded by air, is called atmosphere. The region beyond the earth's atmosphere is called space. Gravitational pull or force. What happens when we throw a stone up in the air? It will fall back to the ground. This pull or force of attraction is called the force of gravity or the gravitational force. This force makes it difficult for anything to move into space. So, we need special vehicles which have the power and speed to take us away from the Earth's gravitational force. A space rocket puts a spacecraft into space. A stone thrown in the air comes back to the Earth's surface due to gravity. Spacewalkers. The space age began in 1957 with the launch of an artificial satellite called Sputnik by the Soviet Union. In November 1957, the Russian space dog Laika becomes the first animal to orbit the Earth. The first man to fly into space was a Russian named Yuri Gagarin. He went to space in April 1961. He traveled in Vostok 1. In 1963, Valentina Tereshkova from Soviet Union became the first woman in space. Man on the moon. Man went to the moon by a special machine known as spacecraft. This first spacecraft name was Apollo 11. The first man who stepped on the surface of the moon was Neil Armstrong. Edwin Aldrin and Michael Collins were the other two who traveled in the spacecraft with Neil Armstrong. Did you know the first words Neil Armstrong said on the landing on the moon were, "That's one small step for man, but a giant leap for mankind"?
Uh, very, very fine grained as you get close to it. It's almost like a powder. Ground mass is very fine.
Life on the moon. On the moon, there is no air and water. So, there are no plants, animals, or human beings. There are huge potholes called craters on the moon's surface. Craters on the moon's surface. Indian astronauts. The men who travel to the space are called astronauts. Rakesh Sharma, Kalpana Chawla, and Sunita Williams are our famous astronauts who travel to space. Science fun. Do you know your weight on the moon will be 1/6 of your weight on Earth? For example, if you weighed 48 kg on Earth, you will weigh only 8 kg on the moon. Squadron leader Rakesh Sharma was the first Indian to travel to space in April 1984. When the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi asked him how India looked from outer space, he said, "सारे जहां से अच्छा."
ऊपर से भारत कैसा दिखता है आपको?
जी मैं बगैर किसी झिझक के कह सकता हूँ कि सारे जहां से अच्छा दिखता है।
Kalpana Chawla was the first Indian woman to go into space. She landed there in the year 1997 in the space shuttle Columbia. She went again in space in January 2003, but unfortunately she died on 1 February 2003 while returning to Earth due to the crash of her space shuttle. Sunita Williams is the second woman of Indian origin to travel in space. She stayed in her spacecraft for 195 days, which is a record too. Knowledge tree. Chandrayaan 1, India's unmanned space flight to study the details of the moon, was launched on 22nd October 2008 from Sriharikota. World Bank. Atmosphere, the air surrounding the Earth. Force of gravity, the Earth's tendency to pull everything towards its center. Space, the region beyond the Earth's atmosphere. Spacecraft, a special machine that has the speed and strength to escape the Earth's pull and travel into space. Astronaut, a person who is trained to travel in space.